Hello everyone and welcome to the round 10 trade targets and preview stream from Amman Talks NRL SuperCoach for season 2024. Hopefully you all are doing well. Please let me know if the audio is okay and my visuals are okay. You have no idea the lengths that I have taken to reduce the echo that I had on the Sunday stream. I have filled my room. I've put all of my work shirts in the cupboard. I put my ironing board behind me and I've covered that with two of my jackets. I brought in a dining table chair, cover that with the jacket. I've put some other junk in here. I've got like empty suitcases. I put a bunch of stuff in here just so that there's some dampening. I don't know. And I shouldn't be echoing as much. I did test my voice on the voice memo app on iPhone. Shout out to that. Shouldn't be as echoey as I was on the weekend. So hopefully, fingers crossed, that all works out good. And I've tested all the mic settings. It should hopefully be okay. Very loud. I can turn that down a touch. Yeah, I can turn that down a touch. Can't hear an echo. Fantastic. Yeah, I can, like, in my ear, I can hear a little bit of an echo, but it's nowhere near as bad as what it was on Sunday. And yeah, look, I heard myself on the voice memo app in one of the empty rooms, and yeah, I'm echoing way more in that room. So hopefully it's all good in this room. But I've got a poll up as well. Sounds grape. I'm going to assume that means sounds great. Yeah, very loud. I did turn down the audio just a touch. But I've put a poll up at the moment on the stream for a run sheet, kind of 4 of the bigger hot topics. There are other things that we will definitely talk about, like captaincy and hookers and 5/8 are also included. But I thought the big 4 would be Pappy replacements, some of the Warriors boys like RTS, DWZ, are they sells? Do you go straight to like a Dom Young? Dave Fafita, is he still worth a trade in? And then on the cheapy front, Armstrong or Suafa'alongo from the Melbourne Storm. Those are kind of the 4 main categories that I've got at the moment. I'll leave the poll running for a couple of 1 or 2 minutes. In the meantime, we'll say hello to a bunch of people in the chat, which is awesome to see so many of you already. We can see hello, Peanut Gallery, Triple S, Dino, Jake Young, Keith, Anthony Worth, Ben Naker, Jason Yang as always, Benny G, one of my favorites. Love to see you in the chat as well. I definitely want to, mate. I'm a little bit hungry, so for the next hour 20, if you hear my tummy rumble, it's gonna be because I'm still waiting to have dinner. But yes, some mud cake is definitely would be right up the alley. I miss the old intro music. I had to get rid of it because it got on the copyright list. So it was previously free copyright, free music, and that got changed. So I had to change it. I might try find some other music, but yeah, I do miss that old vibes. You know, a better time in the earlier days of Amman Talks and SuperCoach. Now we're just no music in the intro. Questions about Isaac Dungo, Paycheck saying the audio is great. Good to hear. Who would have thought that a bunch of SC degenerates are also audio files? Yep, a lot of things. I mean, look, for podcasting, it's very important to make sure that the audio is good. But I appreciate this from Jake. Amman with a heavily lift, smashing out the DIY sound insulation. What a man. Huge rugby league lift, mate. Thank you very much. And there's actually, funnily enough, on like Amazon and stuff, you can actually buy like audio panels that, you know, like the black ones. You don't even have to get them. You can get audio sound panels that actually look like artwork. So I think that's going to be the next level up in the setup, so that I maybe don't have to fill my room with a bunch of junk. But for the time being, it was free and it worked. So you know what, we'll run with it for the time being. So I think, let's see how we're going. We've had 4 or 5 minutes on the poll. We've had 66 votes, which is about half of the current viewers. And we're looking at the highest being Pappy replacements at 38%. Then we're looking at the RTS, then Armstrong, Fa'alongo, and then on Dave Fafita. So I think a lot of chat around center wing this week. So I think we'll definitely cover that maybe first, and then we'll go on to Fafita and then a few other things there. So I'm probably going to end the poll there. But thanks guys for contributing. And yeah, we'll go from there. What do I do for work, Amman, if you don't mind me asking? I work in finance, so I work at a bank. Very, very boring stuff indeed. It's definitely not nowhere near as fun as talking about NRL SuperCoach, but you know, it pays the bills. So got to do what we got to do. Sound is a lot better. Awesome. I'm very glad to hear that. So quickly before we start getting onto everything, quick update on where my team is at the moment. So I scored 1294 last week, which is still good for a 6.5k rank rise. So I'm up to 16.5k. So look, obviously not where I'd hope to be, but I'm kind of climbing slowly but surely. And on the team value front, it's 13.8, but I do have like 340k in the bank. So realistically, my team value is more around the 14.2 million. I've seen people's team values getting up to the 14.5. It does feel like the time where If you're getting up to about 14.5 million team value, then you're probably at a point where you don't need to chase every cash cow. Obviously, if there's one that comes out that looks amazing, go for it. But I do think, you don't have to prioritize every cash cow. And this is one of the things I'm looking at. Look, I went Trey Fuller last week, so that was obviously a big move at fullback to make for a cheapie. So I'm looking at Armstrong far longer myself, thinking I don't think I'm going to get both of them. I think I'll probably only decide on one of them because I think I'm getting to a point where I don't need to chase every single cash cow. Yeah, happy with how the team is progressing over the last few weeks. We have been getting some consistent green arrows, and so hopefully we can just keep that up. Still, I think waiting for that one really big week to really set me up for a good green arrow. It could have been last week if I went Osako over Karaz, but I'm not going to cry about that much more today. Very briefly as well, on the overall group league, still is open. You can still join it by the end of round 13. Group code is 637281. I did say, I think it was beginning of last week, that by the end of round 9, the highest overall point scorer in the league would be eligible for a Swish $100 voucher. So shout out to Clint from Clintonio Banderas. I've put out a post on YouTube, I think earlier in the week as well about that. But if you're watching, Clint, get in touch with me at my email and we can sort that out for you. But yeah, do make sure you are in the league, guys. I'll do various prizes throughout. So I probably will do one for who's top by maybe say the end of round 13. And then I'll probably do things like I might just pick a random week where it's like highest score of the week, and they can't be a sniper team because they would have had to have joined by round 13 anyway. And we'll do something for, of course, the winner from the end of the league by the end of the season. So yeah, definitely get joining. Got a few things to give away, which is very cool. Jared, 14.7 mil team value. Definitely prioritizing guns after Armstrong. Yeah, you're definitely at a point, I think, where you don't need to be chasing a lot of cash cows. You've got a lot of team value at the moment. Can I restart 2024 NRL SuperCoach? Yeah, look, I was having that feeling not that long ago, but look, you know what? We've had some green arrows, so I think we're going just about okay. Alrighty, so I think that's probably that. Look, I've got a TLT round summary for the week, but there wasn't a huge amount, I think, of relevant SuperCoach news. Probably the big things was that Blaise Solangi has been named at fullback while Clint Gutherson is out injured. So that will be at least 3 to 4 weeks, I suspect, where he's going to get some good time, hopefully playing at fullback. And also no Brendan Hands as well, which is good for anyone who's like myself owning Joey Lussick. Other things, if you're a Lomax owner, he's moved back to the wing, which is definitely a positive. Latrell is back. No Jacob Gagai again. Sula Falongo obviously named at fullback with... I've wrote Munster halfback here. That was an error when I was reading it. Munster's not halfback. He's 5'8". I think it's Tyron Wishart is actually at number 7. What else is there? We've got, I guess for the Roosters, a few big gun players back. So Dan Tupou, but also more notably for Terrell May, you've got JWH and Spencer Lenu back for the Roosters. So that could potentially eat into his minutes. But I think anyone who held and played him last week would obviously be very happy with the 120. Burbo's back for anyone who still was keeping him as maybe a handy dual player. Herbie Farnworth is back for the Finns, which is relevant for Jermaine Osako owners and potential buyers because, with Farnworth in the team, Osako probably wasn't quite getting the big scores because Farnworth does have a habit of not passing the ball that easily. Like during the time then, to be fair, I crunched the numbers on this last week. When Osako was in the team with Farnworth, he was still averaging 70. And so you might not get maybe big 150 scores again like you got last week, but like he still is capable of averaging 70, even with Farnworth in the team. But something to note on Jerome Hughes, so he's going to be out for 2 to 3 weeks. He picked up a calf issue actually early on in last week's game, but he played through the entire game. He's had a history of a lot of calf issues, which is why that they've the Storm have looked to put him on ice for the next 2 or 3 weeks. One thing with Farnworth, though, I think he's been named on the left-hand side of the field. And I think, Mr. Callow, you've just mentioned the same point. Look, if Farnworth is on the left-hand side, that's probably bad for Bostock, but fine for what's the name? Fine for Osako. So that is also something to consider. But yeah, I think on Osako, we will touch on now some of the Pappy replacements because I think this is very relevant. Maybe just before looking at Pappy replacements, specifically on teams and the draw over the next 6 weeks, this is something I like to do just using my spreadsheet in terms of creating who's got the best run for the next 6 weeks. And it does account for buys and things in that. What I've found is that a lot of the better teams do come into tougher runs at the moment. So, like if I look at the bottom three, you've got New Zealand, Sharks, and Melbourne. Technically, by my count, all have three of the harder draws over the next few weeks. I kind of actually, to be honest, looking at this, I'm wondering if my one for Melbourne is a little bit wrong, but Melbourne probably aren't maybe quite as low as what that is, but definitely the Warriors. A lot of people are looking to move on the likes of DWZ, RTS, Roosters, and Penrith the next 2 weeks before a bye as well in round 13, and then on the other side of that, it's Cowboys, Melbourne. Maybe not the easiest run overall for the Warriors. Funnily enough, the Rabbitohs actually come into a decent stretch themselves. West Tigers, so I'm looking at West Tigers as maybe Lockie Galvin. I might continue to hold him. Broncos, Cowboys, probably the biggest relevant Supercoach team who've got a really good run over the next kind of 3 to 6 weeks. Yes, Tyler, I think with Jerome Hughes, with 2 to 3 weeks out, it's an issue that he's had in the past. I would probably look to sell Jerome Hughes if I were in your position. Penrith as well also have a pretty good run coming in the next 6 weeks. So guys like, Dylan Edwards, there's going to be question marks about Cleary. Do you actually go buy Cleary because he has been named this week? If you're, say, a Jerome Hughes owner, is Cleary actually your best replacement? So we can discuss all of that good stuff. But on to Pappy replacements. So I think he's obviously the most traded out player this week. He's currently sitting in my team. And look, I'm going to try to keep everything very short and sweet as much as I possibly can. I think I'm going to kind of ignore players like Turbo because of the fact that they're going to be playing Origin soon. So, Turbo has got a good matchup this week with the Dolphins, but then even Broncos, to be honest, they have been leaking points. They don't have Adam Reynolds as well, so they're a little bit weaker. But then he does come into round 12 against Melbourne and then a bye, and then Penrith on the other side of that. So I think Turbo, if you don't have now and you're selling Pappy, I just don't think I'd be looking to Turbo just because one thing I will mention with Turbo, so this slide that I pulled together for last week, Manly don't have great buy coverage for Origin players. So Turbo would miss without any risk of backing up. He misses 13, 16, 17, and 19. And so I feel like a lot of people are going to sell Turbo maybe either next week or the week after when he gets to Melbourne. And a lot of people, I think, are going to be selling to someone like a Drinkwater because he's got a good run and he plays round 13. So for that reason, Turbo myself, I'm not going to consider him as an option to trade in for Pappy. Reece Walsh, I was originally somewhat keen on because with Reece Walsh, he does have a nice little run coming up. Like Parramatta at home, I think is a great matchup. Manly have conceded a lot of points to opposition fullbacks. Then it's the Titans before a bye in round 13. And the benefit with Reece Walsh is while Broncos is going to be weaker without Reynolds, he will be goal kicking. So I do think that will offset any potential loss of points that the Broncos may lose with Adam Reynolds being out. He will be goal kicking. So Reece Walsh, I quite like if you're maybe say a head-to-head, because I think the next 3 weeks are really good and, he's going to be goal kicking. But look, for me, the obvious replacement is Drinkwater. So, at Triple S is saying here, would I get Val or Drinky with the good draw of the Cowboys? And it is good, Titans this week, then it's the Rabbitohs and then the Tigers before Roosters in round 13. But that's going to be a Roosters team. I'm going to assume Teddy is going to play Origin, and let's assume maybe Angus Crichton features in there as well. Look, obviously Roosters are still going to be pretty good, but it's a weakened Roosters team. And then Warriors in round 14 is decent at home, and then Canberra. Next 6 weeks looks really good, and there's a big benefit to Drinkwater playing round 14. And I personally don't think Drinkwater is going to feature for Origin. I think for fullbacks, it's either going to be Teddy or Dylan Edwards, in my view. I feel personally that Drinkwater is safe for round 13. Even if he's not and he does miss round 13, at least if you get him now, the next 3 weeks are really, really good. And there is a very good chance that he does play round 13. He's got 144 against the Titans the last time they played this season. Drinkwater's actually got an insane record against... if you look at... I'm just going to quickly pull up this number, so bear with me. I'm just going to go to NRL SuperCoach website on my other screen. So if you actually look at what Drinkwater has scored against these next 3 opponents coming up in his most recent meetings versus them. So against the Titans early this season, 144. Rabbitohs, the last time he played them last year, round 17, 140 points. Against Tigers, round 18 last year, 173. So the last 3 times he's played these next three opposition, he has gone huge. He does have a relatively high break-even of 93, but look, I think we've seen enough now from the Cowboys that they are flat-track bullies, in my opinion. Sorry, I just realized the screen changed. There you go. Yes, so can't see too zoomed in. Don't worry, I've just changed the screen now. I've just realized on my end what was happening. But yes, Drinkwater with a 93 break even. I do think he's going to be the person who will benefit a lot in the next 3 weeks with a really good draw. Townsend is back. I was thinking if Townsend was out, that might even mean that Drinkwater could be goal. Well, actually, he wouldn't be goal kicking. Sorry, it would be Val Holmes. But yeah, for me, Drinkwater is the obvious one because I think, look, 93 break even is quite high. But as I just said, I read out those scores that he's got. But yeah, he's to me is the obvious one, and I would be getting him over Val just because it's the same draw. But I think Drinky is more likely to outscore Val in the next 3 weeks, in my opinion. I think Val has been really good and steady this season, but Drinkwater playing the fullback role gets the benefit of being on both sides of the field. You know, he does like going down that right-hand side attack. He scored 96 last week, even in a losing effort. Like, Cowboys to me are just flat track bullies. Next 3 opposition, they can definitely score more than 30 points in each game. They could lose every one of those games, but for SuperCoach, we don't care about that. We just want to get the points. So for me, Drinkwater is by far the most, in my head, he was the most obvious replacement for Pappy. I know a few people on social media are asking, would you get him over Garrick or Osako? For me, I absolutely would. I think at his price, I mean, he's in between both of Osako and Garrick, but I think he's almost got the highest ceiling. And look, Anthony is agreeing with me here. Flat track bully, I just think that's the Cowboys in general. So yeah, for me, Drinkwater is number 1 replacement. If you're looking specifically at fullback, so let's say we're not looking at those center wing guns, I think Reece Walsh should probably be my next one just because of his good price, and also the next 3 weeks I think are pretty good. With Dylan Edwards, it's tough. I think SE Whisper put some stats on this earlier in the day, but with Dylan Edwards, I mean, he's been so good so far this season. I feel like no one owns him. The issue is that if Cleary is indeed back, that will dent his role. So firstly, he's not going to be goal kicking, and also he won't be getting as much of that ball down the right-hand side like he has when Cleary's been out. So for example, Whisper's put Edwards' average for the season so far is 93. Without Cleary, it's 110. With Cleary, though, it's 77. Don't get me wrong, 77 is still a really, really good average. But I think at the price with Cleary back, I just don't think I'd be investing in Edwards at this moment in time. Teddy, I think, could be a consideration. Teddy's actually in the top 10 most traded in, and that is because they've got a fairly good run. But my issue with going with Teddy, I'll pull up the other slide that I had before. So with Tedesco and the Roosters Origin players, they do miss quite a bit of time during Origin. So he will definitely miss around 13, 14, 16, and 19. So that's 4 games during the Origin period that he's going to miss. And look, I think Teddy generally does back up for the Roosters, and he would be backing up in round 17, 18 versus the Tigers and the Dragons. But again, for me, like, the games in between the buys are good. Like he'd be getting Parramatta, West Tigers, and Dragons, but I feel like I'm sure there'll be someone within the same span who's got equally decent draw, and there's enough other options at fullback. I just don't think I'd be going Teddy, in my opinion. The last bit of a puntier option was Latrell. So I know a lot of people may be cursed by Latrell and what he threw up earlier in the season when, look, myself included, traded in Latrell for Ponga, and he just went and scored I think he scored 69, 72, and then 80, or no, not even 80. He scored 36, and then he got suspended. The run for the run for the Rabbitohs is actually pretty good. You know, Dragons, Cowboys, and then Parramatta the next 3. But again, I know he's had quotes about pulling out of Origin. I still feel like he is a chance at playing that. And I haven't actually even pulled the numbers up for Latrell during the Origin period in terms of how many games he might miss. But having a quick look at it here, yeah, so he would miss, if he played Origin, he would miss 13, 16, 17, and 19. So again, he's missing 4 games. That feels like too much. So I think Latrell, whilst the price is enticing, for me personally, if you don't own Drinky, I'd just pay the 40k more and get Drinky, and I think Drinky is more likely not to play Origin than Latrell. I guess the big question, I've got CNK, tough run coming up, though I just don't think I'd be going him. A lot of people, though, are saying, what if you already own Drinkwater? What about the likes of Osako, Garrick, and Brimson? So I think, just to summarize on just the fullbacks, I think Drinkwater for me, as I mentioned, he's clear number 1. And then I think I'd probably go Reece Walsh, number 2. But then I think I would actually probably rank the likes of Osako, Garrick above Reece Walsh. Brimson and Reece Walsh, I'd probably say probably maybe on par, because Brimson may also be a risk of origin too, but he's looked really good at fullback. So we'll talk a little bit about some of these centre wing guns, because I'm assuming a lot of people have got Kale Iro. So you could also just go Pappy and flip to maybe a premium centre wing. So the ones that I've got here, I've got Manu, Lomax, Val Holmes, Isako, Garrick, and then Brimson. So if I had to kind of, talk through these, like Manu for me does have a lot of appeal, because I think he will play. I think Teddy's going to play Origin, which means I think Manu's going to play fullback. And playing fullback against the Cowboys in round 13, I'll be very afraid not to own him. But he's 815k, and there's another Roosters centre wing that a lot of people are going to, who's much cheaper. Seeing a few questions about Farlongo, don't worry, we're definitely going to be talking about him. So just hold your fire. After I talk through this, we'll talk about RTS, DWZ, and the like, and then we'll definitely get to Farlongo. So don't worry, guys. We'll get to hopefully all of your key burning issues. Trey Fuller is also still there, someone mentions, but I do feel like I don't think I would be trading to Trey Fuller now. After seeing what he performed on the weekend, like he did have a tough game, and you've missed that first initial price rise. I think at this point now, even though he's got a negative break even, I feel like the last week was the week to be jumping on him. I think now instead, I'd maybe be going Farlongo or Armstrong instead as the cheapy option. I talked into Fuller last week, Aman. Well, hopefully you were able to use the money freed up for good use and, at least benefit in that way. But yeah, obviously from a points point of view, didn't quite work out. But yeah, I think in terms of the premiums, I think I had done a ranking list. So the three that stuck out to me were, the four actually, I should say, is Val Holmes, Isako, Garrick, and Brimson. I still think Val Holmes is a worthwhile get if people are looking to go centre wing gun, but don't already own yet Isako and Garrick. Because in my head, I still feel like Val Holmes is going to be the number one centre wing this season. So yes, he's got a 3-round average of 63, but they've versed some tougher opposition, I guess, in that time. And he also benefits from an okay origin schedule. So if this is what you're thinking about, so Val Holmes, he only misses 13, 16, and round 19. And we saw last year during the origin period, he actually performed really, really well. And if I look at his games in the origin period, we're looking at Warriors and then Canberra. Penrith and Manly does get tough in round 17, 18. But I still feel like he's someone that you could rely on to bring in this week, because I think during the origin period, I still think he'll be fine. If you're looking more for pure round 13 coverage, then Isako's the man. He's the one who will play round 13, does miss round 14, and he still benefits from a pretty good run. Manly, Tigers, Warriors, and then Canberra. Does have the bye round 14, then he plays the Sharks. But you most of you probably know that Isako will play all three major bye weeks. So I guess it begs the question, outside of Drinky, to be honest, I would rank some of these centre wings above Reece Walsh as well. Like I'd probably rank Val Holmes above Reece Walsh, getting him via duels. I would actually probably even rank Isako and Garrick above Reece Walsh too, just because of the fact that they won't play Origin. With Brimson, so Cowboys, Newcastle, Broncos before a bye in round 13. It's kind of the post round 13 run that I really do like. But then he runs into Rabbitohs and then the Tigers. But to be honest, we've seen that the Cowboys league points. The Knights themselves aren't spectacular. Broncos could be a bit weaker. Brimson to me feels like the real pod flyer, I think, if you want to go for him. But when I saw that his price was 682k and I saw Garrick at only 7k more with a negative break even and goal kicking, even though Garrick's run does get really tough from round 11 when it's Broncos, Melbourne, bye, and then Penrith, that's a 4-week stretch, which is quite bad. But I still think for 7k more than Brimson, for a goal kicker in Garrick, I just think he's more likely to be a season-long keeper. With Brimson, there's still maybe question marks about, when Jaden Campbell comes back, does he shift him out of fullback spot? You'd have to think that Brimson stays there just based on how good he's been going and also how good the Titans have been with him at fullback. But, Garrick is averaging 71 this season, and that's including a game where he scored 1. He scored... His lowest score this season, outside of that one, is 38 versus the Titans. Wasn't really a game for him, that particular one. And then outside of that, 54 against the Roosters. So he's still going to be someone I think can average 60, 65, even against tough opposition. So for me, I definitely rank Garrick over Brimson. I think Brimson, if you want to go for him, he's really a pod flyer. I think I'd rank Reece Walsh above him just because Reece Walsh will gain the goal kicking. And then I think the question then becomes Isako versus Garrick this week. I think if you're looking to trade one of Isako or Garrick this week, personally, I think I'd go Isako. And the main reason for that is negative break-even as well, but he also just covers round 13. And his next 4 weeks are even like if you look at even the next 6 weeks, I'd rather him for the next 6 weeks than Garrick, just from a draw point of view. We saw his ceiling last week. Herbie fine with his back, but it looks as though he's playing on the left-hand side. Excuse me. So I think if you're looking to go one of Isako or Garrick this week, Isako would be the one just because he's got the better run in over the next 4 weeks. Both of them, I think, do feature in the top 4 or 5 center wing. But again, just looking at it this week, I'd probably try to go Isako. If you can't afford it, obviously, because let's say you don't have the funds, Garrick is perfectly fine. So I guess the reason I've not really talked about Lomax at the moment, just with Lomax, look, he is back on the wing, which is really good. And look, the Rabbitohs matchup is good, but he does have 118 break even, and he's got a bye then in round 11. For me personally, I just want to now wait with Lomax until maybe he goes sub 700k, and maybe wait until get confirmation that he does or doesn't play Origin. That's kind of the only reason why I'm not looking at Lomax. And with Manu, it's just a price thing. He's 815k, so it feels very expensive. So I think, so James is saying, what about Drinky or Osaka? What's my gut telling you? Oh, telling me, I should say. So let me just see. Did I actually do this slide? I did. Yep. So I've got a ranking list at the moment of who I'd look to prioritize. For me, Drinkwater is number 1. Number 2, I still think would be Val Holmes, just with the next 3 weeks being so good on paper. Then I think it would be Osaka this week. Then it would be Garrick. Then I think it would be Reece Walsh. I'm going to exclude Manu from this list. I know I've got Manu in this list, but let's exclude him. So starting from the top again, I'm thinking Drinkwater, Val Holmes, Isako, Garrick, Reece Walsh, and then Brimson. That's kind of my list of, I think, if you're looking to get in, Pappy replacements. And I'm focusing more at these more expensive center wings. There are a bunch of cheaper center wings that we'll talk about soon, but that's kind of my reasoning, I think, around more of the premiums. Like Cashwell was saying, I'm going Paps to Isako, then moving Isako to center wing later. That's perfectly fine. Like, if you don't maybe have a good gut feeling about the likes of a Drinkwater, then, you can obviously go Isako and you can make your decision later. Like, you can get in someone, like, the good thing with these center wings, like Isako and Garrick, I think we can all say that they're pretty much season-long keepers in center wing. You can just grab them now before they get too expensive, and then you can make your decision on fullbacks in a little bit of time. That's definitely an approach that you can do. But I do think that Drinkwater has the potential to go really big in the next 3 weeks, and he will cover round 13. And me personally, I already own Garrick, so that's kind of why I'm also not me personally looking so much in this category. So hopefully that was helpful to you all. The next kind of subset of center wings, I'm seeing from Triple S here, no Dom Young for 550k with a negative break even. Someone's asking, is Mulatalo a sell? This is the perfect slide for you guys. So, well, not for everyone, but for at least those 2 questions that I pulled out, it's hopefully the right slide for you guys. So, and someone's actually asked about Bostock as well. So I've kind of made this a little bit broader to center wing buys and sells. All right, so there are your premiums. What about the bottom 5? Just joking. Cheers, mate. I'm not here to rank bottom 5s. We only want the best. Shifter Pod, is Holmes playing Origin? Yeah, Holmes, in my opinion, is definitely going to be playing Origin. It'll be him and Hamaso you'd expect at centers for Queensland. So on the cheaper range of center wings, so kind of looking more around the 500, low 600Ks. So I guess the big question here was, DWZ and Roger Tuivasa-Sheck, are they sells? A couple of other peaking, like Elise is asking here, is Mulatalo a sell? Bostock. Mulatalo, just on him very quickly, I do think he is a sell, in my opinion. I think up until now, you've probably benefited from some really good scores from Mulatalo. He's gotten to a good price as well at 746k. But I think you can definitely see that without Trindle, with Hines taking more of the ball, it's the right-hand side that's benefiting. We're seeing bigger scores for the likes of Anikara, who scored 70 last week. Raimi and Sione Katoa had big games the week before last, and then Hines himself is playing, really well and getting a lot of SuperCoach points. He's got 141 break-even, Mulatalo, and he's coming against Melbourne, Roosters, and then Penrith. To me, this is the perfect situation of like he's got a really tough run coming up the next 3, doesn't play round 13, really high break-even. He's a sideways move to like an Osako. You free up money to a Garrick. You free up money to like Val Holmes same price as Drinkwater. Yeah, for me, he's a very happy sell, in my opinion. He's been really good. I think you just take the cash, you take the points, and you trade him in and say, thanks very much, Ronnie, for your services, but we're now going to move you to someone else. Same with Bostock, I think, in my opinion. He's 594k and he's got 138 break even. The draw is obviously not too bad, but like even in Bostock's best game this season where he scored a hat-trick, even he didn't match 138. He scored 131. And I think we're seeing a bit more of Cody Nikorima being a little bit more of an influence on that team. And that definitely showed last week. He probably had his best game for a while. And that really meant that Osako did very well as well. So I think Bostock to begin the season had benefited a lot from the Dolphins. But also I think ever since we've seen Hamiso leave the team in terms of the injury, it looks as though Bostock's appeal also has been dented as well. So I think I would also look at him as, look, he's made like, 280, 290k. I think he's someone who very happily I'd be looking to cash in. And for me, in terms of these kind of cheaper center wings, you've got Dom Young and Mazu to me really stood out. You could obviously go all the way down to a Falongo or Armstrong, but if you're looking to prioritize maybe a guy who's got keeper potential at a cheap price, I definitely prefer Dom Young over Mazu. So Mazu obviously had a really good game last week in terms of work rate. I think he had a work rate of about 54 base power. The thing with Dom Young though, like, look, I traded him earlier in the season and he screwed me. He screwed over a lot of people. He scored 150 and then he scored 30 and then negative 15. The 30 was against Penrith and then the negative 15 was a bit of a free game. If you exclude that negative 15 game, he's averaging 80 for the season. And the Roosters themselves are just looking really, really good at the moment. This is the exact same reasons why people wanted to buy him after he scored that big 150. The draw is pretty good as well for the Chooks for a long period of time. So they do play round 13 actually as well. So they've got Warriors at home. Then they've got the Sharks in Magic Round. So not amazing next to, but they're fine. But look, Roosters just put 40 points against the Broncos. Then you're looking at Canberra and then the Cowboys in round 13 who leak a lot of points. Does miss round 14, so just be wary of that because if you load up on too many Chooks, you might find yourself short in that week. But if you're fine for that week, outside of that, you're looking at Parramatta, which is great for attacking points. Then you're looking at Bulldogs, Tigers, Dragons before the bye again in round 19. So that long-term run all the way up until round 19, like Dom Young could be the cheapest he's at for a while because he's 80k down on his, or 90k down, I think, on his starting price. And I prefer him to Mazu just because while Mazu's got the better work rate, Dom Young, I think, has just got the better ceiling at the moment in terms of points, just because the Roosters themselves are scoring way more points compared to the Knights. Like, the Knights are grinding out wins, but they're scoring like 14, 16 points. They're only really scoring 2, maybe 3 tries a game. At the moment, the Roosters, at least in the last 2 weeks, the Roosters have put on 100 points in total. And Dom Young is a big beneficiary of that. So definitely like Dom Young. Michael here is asking Young or Manu. Objectively, I think Manu is a better option just because he will get that ability to play fullback. But there's like a 260k difference in price between the two. So I think if you're looking to get in one this week, I'd like to take Dom Young. I do typically prefer wingers over centers as well in SuperCoach. So I think I'd be looking to go Dom Young as well and get that price saving. So he'd be the one I'd be looking to prioritize. Can you guys also just let me know? I'm just having a quick look at my feed. Am I a little bit blurry on your screen? Just let me know because I did try to adjust some settings just to try to make the clarity a bit better because I noticed on last time it was a little bit blurry. So yeah, let me know what you guys are seeing at the moment. And look, it might be something that I can't fix on the fly, but maybe I can fix it for the next streams. But yeah, so I think Young, for example, is the one I'd be preferring to Mazu. I think the big question, ShifterPod is saying, is RTS a sell? I think I'll quickly tackle DWZ. Looks fine. Okay, that's really good. So I think on DWZ, would I sell him? Yeah, it's been unfortunate. I think the Warriors attack has really petered out in the last few weeks. 116 break even, Roosters this week, then Penrith. Dolphins is fine, but then round 13 is a buy. Not great. If I don't own DWZ, but if I did own him in my team, I think I would be, I'd be trying to move on because I do think that there are enough other good options at the moment and he will start leaking a lot of cash. And even after the bye in round 13, we're looking at Cowboys, Melbourne. Even then, like, I know Cowboys could be okay, but it's not a draw that screams the Warriors attack is going to be back to its best in a really short period of time. I think it's probably round 16 is where maybe when, if you sell DWZ, you can look to buy him back. So round 16, he's got Titans, Broncos, Bulldogs before a bye in round 19. Then the end of season run for the Warriors is pretty good. So I think DWZ, I would be happy to move on. And I would probably try to go maybe to like a Dom Young. I think he's probably the one I'd prefer over Ramazu. Obviously, I think if you've got the money to go up to one of those other premiums that I mentioned, I'd be preferring that to Dom Young, just because I think they're just better options than him. But again, we're thinking around the same price or maybe a way to free up money. Dom Young, to me, looks like a really good prospect, just with that really good long-term draw. And I think he'll be just, like, we're seeing it with the Roosters team. Like, he scored 80s in both of the last 2 weeks. So Martin saying DWZ to a Sarko or a Cheapy. This kind of comes back again to your team value. How's your team value shaping? Are you pretty good in terms of cash gen? Do you need to still get cheapies? I mean, for sure, I'd be preferring a Sarko over a Cheapy because at the end of the day, points is what we prioritize the most. It's okay if the little blur, the brilliant shine from your hair needs to be toned down. Thank you, James, for the very nice compliment. Yeah, so that's kind of my thoughts on some of these cheaper guys. I think DWZ for me is a sell. Roger Tuivasa-Sheck, I don't think he's an urgent sell because I think he's just got that kind of work rate where he'll pump out 45 to 50 most weeks, even in these tougher games. But I think someone was asking on Twitter, is it sideways to go RTS to Dom Young? Based on what we're seeing at the moment, I don't think that's a sideways move. I would prefer Dom Young to RTS in my team at the moment. RTS you can very easily just hold though, and he can be sitting there as a 5th or 6th center wing who you just play in matchups and you can ride him out. But looking at this draw over the next few weeks, I maybe see RTS getting a big score of maybe 75 to 80, but that's kind of maybe where I see it. With Dom Young, we've already seen so far this season, he can hit up 150. I just don't think at the moment, the way that the Warriors are playing and with their draw and him playing at center, I don't think RTS is going to be getting that. So I don't think it's a sideways move going RTS to Dom Young, but it's not like an urgent move. You probably do need to have your team otherwise more or less in fairly decent shape. But like RTS to Dom Young, in my head, it is an upgrade. And DWZ to Young at the moment is also an upgrade, and you also do free up some money as well. What's a good team value at the moment? I think if you're hitting 14 plus, you're probably looking pretty good. Yeah, Tyler's saying the exact same thing as me. If you're hitting like 14.2, 14.3 and even above that, I think you're sitting in a really good spot in terms of cash gen. One last question I wanted to cover as well before we get on to Far Longo. So I'm in this position where I own both RTS and Taylor May. Taylor May scored well last week with the 15 break even, so he should make some money, but how much money are we really talking about? I was thinking about this earlier. I would actually rather sell RTS than Taylor May at the moment. One is price. So like RTS is more likely to get you a solid score each week, but at least with Taylor May, he's only 420,000. So he's not super expensive. And if you had to think of Warriors or Penrith, which team's attack would I prefer the most or prefer more? I'd probably say Penrith, right? Luai obviously is a big handbrake for Taylor May. So I could be maybe a bit foolish thinking hold Taylor May over RTS. But I do feel like if you sell RTS, you can free up an extra 130k compared to selling Taylor May. But also he plays for a better team. The run for the Penrith Panthers is actually pretty decent. Bulldogs, Warriors, Sharks, Dragons in round 13. So I'm even thinking just in that round 13 week, Taylor May could actually be pretty good. And he also plays round 14 as well, and then against Manly and then Newcastle. So I'm thinking over the next 6 weeks, like we've kind of come full circle with Taylor May. He's lost he's down 20k on his original price. RTS also hasn't really changed in price as well. Taylor May moved to the right wing when Edwards came off this week. He'll play at wing during Origin. That, I guess, depends if Edwards is not going to be playing Origin. But if Edwards plays Origin, part of me still thinks that it's going to be Teddy at fullback. Teddy's had some good performances in the last couple of weeks, so I just think Teddy's not going to be getting dropped for Dylan Edwards, in my opinion. But it's just that thing of like, yes, hopefully Taylor May just jags 1 or 2 more attacking stats. So I think I was thinking about this for my own team, but if you're in that RTS Taylor May position, I'd probably just prefer selling RTS because you at least don't have to use as much money to do that particular move. So plenty of chat on centre wings. We're 41 minutes into the stream. I'll get onto the cheapies now. So we're looking at Armstrong or Fa'alogo. So let's just see if you got any comments about these guys or questions. Drop them into the chat and we can kind of address them now. So I tried to pull some numbers on both of these guys because I think a lot of people, like I'm in the position where I don't think I'll be looking to try get both of them. I think I'll only want to try get one of them. Sorry, Tyler, I'll quickly address your question. Is Isaac Tungo a hold? I actually had him on my sells. He's missing this week and he's got 107 break even and he's 550k. Again, I'd be looking at him as someone I think I'd be happy to move him on to say like a Dom Young. Or maybe even a Marzu. The only issue I have with Marzu is just that I think upside-wise, not quite there with KP not in the team because I think Knights in general aren't going to be scoring as many points. But yeah, on Fa'alogo or Armstrong, add Blaze to my list there, Blaze Talangi. I mean, Blaze Talangi, I don't think I'd be looking to buy him at the moment. So just very quickly commenting on him. So he's obviously been named at fullback. So he's got a break even of 43. So again, like he's not going to be someone who's just going to hit the ground and make an insane amount of cash. If you're interested in him, you can definitely give him this week and see how he performs. It's a game against the Broncos as well. And look, with Talangi, he versus Broncos this week and then Melbourne the next week. So the next 2 weeks are definitely not that easy. Rabbitohs in round 12 is fine. He does play round 13. So Talangi should be getting at least round 13 and probably round 14. So I think with him, you can wait and watch and you can even just look to pick him up in round 12 or round 13. But he is a downgrade option. I do prefer probably one of these two though, Armstrong or Fa'alogo. So with Armstrong, he's obviously got the benefit of he's going to go up in price this week with a negative 47 break even. There was some kind of job security concerns with Fletcher Sharp. That necessarily hasn't gone away, but I haven't really seen much from Barry Toohey on the subject. He's generally the journalist I look to most for Newcastle Knights news because he's very in the know and he's one of the best. Like he just gives straight facts information. Like he doesn't BS, which is really good. I can't see anything from him at the moment though about. Okay, so this is on May 5th. So we're talking a couple of days ago. So this is on Sunday. So someone asked him, "What did you make of Armstrong's performance? Has he done enough to cement the spot?" Barry Toohey commented saying, "Mixed bag. Sharp returned from injury in Flegg on the weekend, on Sunday. So there will be some pressure coming. Armstrong has some X factor though with his pace." So still sounds like there is pressure, but as long as Armstrong keeps delivering good performances, he will stay in that team. And he's got West Tigers and Titans the next 2 weeks. You'd have to think with, apologies fans of these two teams, but with two oppositions coming up that are leaky, can concede points, I think Armstrong will probably look good enough to hold his position. Then he has the bye in round 12, then he has the Bulldogs in round 13. So I think Armstrong is a perfectly good downgrade option. He's probably I don't know if he's the best cheapy to make money, cash cow. He's the best cash cow this week in the centre wings, given that he's got that negative 47 break even. I put into NRL SuperCoach Stats price change calculator, if he averages 45, his indicative price changes over until round 15 is about 200k. So he will make pretty decent money if he does average 45, which I don't think we can put past him. He scored 84 and 26, so I'd have to think around the middle is around that 45 to 50. So I think that's pretty good cash gen. The alternative though is Fa'alogo. So he's got a break even of 30 this week, so he's definitely not a must trade in this week because he's not got that big negative break even. And it's a game against the Sharks as well, so it's not the easiest on paper. I definitely, as a player, I think prefer Fa'alogo. He's not as cheap. He's 339k. But he had one game last season for Melbourne at fullback and he scored 80 points or 83 points when he played at fullback. He'll be getting fullback. So the word is with Pappenhausen that Pappenhausen is targeting around 15 return, but most likely will be back in round 16 or round 17. So I was looking at it with Fa'alogo. If he averages 45, so I'm giving both of these guys a 45 average, Fa'alogo will make 161k. So not quite as much as Armstrong. But in terms of the team, the player themselves, I think Fa'alogo, I would bet, would be more likely to outscore Pappy. And I don't think he's got that job security risk as much as maybe, say, an Armstrong has, because Pappy's out. As soon as Pappy's back, then Fa'alogo will get out of the team. But, Fa'alogo has looked really good in his couple of appearances for Melbourne. He scored that great try last week off the scrum as well. it doesn't really have the best work rate. So I'm looking at him as someone who maybe I don't need to jump on straight away this week. But I think if you had to give me one of the two, I would prefer Forlongo just because I do think that he's also more likely going to be a play in your 17 as well than Armstrong. So I think that's where I'd land in terms of if I was looking to... And look, again, this is again team subjective. I personally don't feel like I need to now chase every cash cow. I myself went to Trey Fuller. But if you are looking to make money still, then I think get Armstrong this week because he's got the negative break even. But I do think that over the next 6 weeks until say round 15, I think draw-wise on par, I'd say, just because Melbourne are a better team, attacking team. So I think Falongo would be the one I'd be leaning to. Someone's asking, would I do RTS to him? What do I think? Again, I think that's perfectly fine if that's the way to, free up your money this week. Because, I'd say RTS is still more likely to outscore Falongo, but there's like a 200k price difference between the two. So I think that's perfectly fine as a downgrade. Even tailor-made down to him is something I would be okay with. You don't quite free up 100k, but it's not bad. But yeah, so that's kind of my thoughts, I guess, on these two. Someone was asking about going Pappy to Falongo and then using bulk cash to go upgrade somewhere in your center wing. I can't knock that just because that's the kind of move I did last week with going Turbo out for Fuller. Freed up so much money in that one position, but then I used that to bolster my center wing. The benefit is that Pappy won't hurt you because he's injured. He's not going to score 92 points like Turbo did when I sold him last week. But as I said, I think me personally still prefer going for the points at this point. Points in this point. So I think Drinkwater is the one I'd be looking to prioritize first and those guns before going for the downgrades, but that's totally up to your team. How long is Pap out for? So just mentioned he's aiming for round 15, more likely going to be round 16, 17. Ricky saying Pappenhausen and Saab out for Osako and Dom Young. Yeah, those are really strong moves in my opinion. Saab has been a little bit underwhelming and it's got a tougher run coming into the next few weeks as well. Michael saying Pappy and Tuapigi to Manu and Drinkwater. Yeah, that's nice. Very, very good moves there. I like those moves, Michael. So yeah, that's my thoughts on some of these downgrade options. So hopefully you found that useful. One thing I also wanted to quickly cover was on Fafita. So someone actually is asking about, so Jaden is saying, is RTS and Sean Lane to Armstrong and Fafita worth the trade if it only leaves you 24 trades? So yeah, 24 trades does feel a little bit low, but I am kind of the view that it's fine to go hard on the trades at this point in time to get your team right, but then you definitely do need to consolidate and save trades at some point. So with Fafita, is he worth a trade in still? He's got a similar issue, same as Turbo and Tedesco, where he will miss round 13, 16, 17, and 19 during the Origin period. If you look at the next few weeks, though, if you look at, say, the next 5 weeks, he's only going to miss round 13. But all the way up until, if you wait until round 15, you'll get him for Cowboys, Knights, Broncos, Rabbitohs, West Tigers. So you'll play 5 of the next 6, which is a pretty, if you look at it that way, pretty decent. And the thing is, if you're looking to upgrade your center wing, if you're looking to upgrade your second row forward, like Jaden was saying about upgrading Sean Lane, Fafita is the number one second row forward target at the moment. Without Olakuatu, even with Olakuatu, look, he's very expensive. He's 859k. But by far, he is the one who's best in the position. So I still think this week would be the last week I think I'd be okay getting in Fafita, just because I think he's going to deliver, I think, enough on the point. Like Cowboys have been very weak in the middle. They've conceded a lot of points to middle forwards this season. Is it going to shock anyone if Fafita scored 84 last week against Melbourne with no attacking stats? So he can just base power 75 and then he scurries over for a dummy half try, breaks 2 tackles, gets a line break and a try, 40-point play. All of a sudden, Fafita's hitting 120 this week. Like, I don't generally make too many of these kind of, bold prediction type claims and things on the podcast, but I can very clearly in my head see Fafita scoring 120 this week. And with a break-even 52, he will be pretty much if you need to sell him in round 16, when he misses 16, 17, and then 19, you'll be selling him for a big profit. So, I think there's still potential to make money on trading him in this week. But this would be my last week, I think, of getting him in. I know Angus Crichton is in the top 10 most traded in. Yeah, I'd probably go Crichton over him just because Crichton does have a negative break-even. I still think this is an okay time to get in for feeder. He does generally back up from Origin as well, although he can play reduced minutes, but even in reduced minutes, he can still pump out like 50, 60 points. Even like in 35, 40 minutes, he can still get you 50 to 60, just the way that he plays. You know, as Nicholas is saying here, he gets those crab runs, gets those tackle busts, quote unquote tackle busts, and yeah, it hurts your soul as a non-owner. Yeah, I feel you, Nicholas, on that one. So yeah, on Fafita, if anyone was thinking about Fafita, I still think it's an okay week to get him this week because I think the points are definitely on offer. It's probably the last week though that I think I'd be looking to jump on him. In terms of downgrade options at second or forward, because I haven't really got a section on him, but say Joe Chan, people who are looking to maybe cash him in. Second or forward at the moment is a really weak position in terms of the cheapies. Most of the cheapies are in the second or forward. The only two that come to mind, Ben Travojevic, 355k. He's got dual. The issue though is that he's coming back from a hamstring. That's definitely not one that I want to be rushing in. But if you had to go for a downgrade in that 350k range, he's probably one. The other one I can think of is Samuel Lafinu. So he's got the dual second row forward, front row forward. He's been playing 80 minutes on an edge for the Tigers, which is good to see. So yeah, he got 80 minutes last week on an edge, 70 the week before, but that was with a sin bin. And he got 48 last week with no attacking stats. So he's kind of solid 45 to 50. And I think I'll quickly highlight the West Tigers run. Per my spreadsheet, they've actually got the best draw over the next 6 weeks. They've got Knights, Dolphins, Cowboys, a bye, Minnesota Dragons, and then the Titans. I'm thinking, we'll talk about 5/8 very soon in the next section. But, thinking of like Lockie Galvin, Samuel Lafinu, with no Aiden Caesar, I think Galvin is going to command more of the ball. And there was one moment last week where Galvin did almost put Finu through a hole and someone just held onto a shirt and he didn't break the tackle. But if he broke that tackle, we're looking at a line break and a tackle bust. So we're looking at 12 extra points. We're looking at 60 points from Finu plus another 8 points for Galvin. And I think Samuel Lafinu getting 60, he would have been a much more of an appealing option as a trade in this week. So like Aaron's saying, with an attacking stat, Finu could get like 60 to 70. Yeah, I think he's shown pretty good work rate. I think if you're looking for a cheapie in your second or forward, he's really the only one that I could think of that's actually worthwhile. Or you maybe go Burbo, but that feels like a bit of a risk getting him back. The good thing with Burbo is that he got named straight away in the starting team. So that was a good sign. But look, he's coming back from a hamstring injury, so that is very concerning. So that's probably the only second or forward cheapie I would consider. On the topic of Galvin, so I know some people maybe were looking at Galvin, maybe not necessarily this week, but maybe over the next coming weeks as a trade out. Me personally, Galvin's solid. Like he got 45 points, I think, last week, or 47, something like that. He pretty much averages around mid 40s without attacking stats. He's got a really good draw coming up over the next 6 weeks. I think he's perfectly fine as a hold. Even KO Weeks, for example. So KO Weeks has got a negative 23 break even. He will actually make money this week, but I'm not looking at Galvin down to Weeks as a way to make money because KO Weeks and the Raiders, I know they had a really great win on the weekend, but they still are missing Fogarty, so they still could be inconsistent. He is the goal kicker, which does help, but Galvin's really solid. So I'm thinking with Galvin, I think I'm just going to hold strong with him. And he's probably likely peaked. He might peak at like 450k, but while he's pumping out 45s, I don't think he's going to be someone who's going to massively drop in cash. So I think I'm personally just going to hold him there until such time I'm ready to buy the likes of a Munster. I've already got dual bags. I think I'm just going to go dual bags and maybe just lock in Cam Munster, or maybe I'll go to someone else like a Tom Dearden, who's actually been really good so far this season. Sorry, that's a good point. KO Weeks does have the buy this week, so he actually won't go up in price this week. So yes, next week is when people may look to get him as a downgrade. So this is maybe more of a topic for next week. But yeah, I'm probably not looking to buy Weeks next week even. On Tamari Martin, I know a lot of people are looking to sell Tamari Martin. I think a couple of people were asking, is it too late for Max Plath? 516k does feel like it is getting a little bit more than you would like to pay for him. But pleasingly, he did play 80 minutes last week in the middle. So the minutes still seem to be there, which is a good sign. He plays all major bye weeks. There's nothing wrong with Max Plath as your front row forward one for the time being. He'll give you 50 points as a minimum most weeks. So I think Tamari Martin owners, if you're looking to cash him out this week, with a tough run coming up. I think Max Plath is really solid. If you're looking to go down in price, if you can handle it, you could go down to K weeks, or I think what I would do is cop the 55 on the chin break even if he scores like 35, he'll go down to maybe 400k. You're still going to be able to free up 120k going down from Tamara Martin to K weeks next week. So not probably someone you have to rush out this week, because a lot of the replacement options this week don't really stand out, especially if you're looking to downgrade. I just wanted to throw in a couple of pods. So Ezra Mam got a pretty good run coming up, but I do think without Reynolds, I've never been a big fan of Ezra Mam for Supercoach. He's just very attacking stat reliant. And apologies, I should have covered this way earlier. Someone early in the stream, Barnes, for the $2 donation, thank you very much, but probably seems relevant to talk about it now. What to do with Luke Brooks. So Luke Brooks, just going to have a quick look-see at his price. That was an unintended rhyme. Let me have a look with Brooks. So he's 461k, and he's got a break-even of 60, but like Dolphins does look good, but he's had good matchups on paper the last few weeks, and he's gone 41, 40, 41. Like, this kind of just seems to be what he is. I would be looking to move Brooks on. In terms of who I'd be going to, Plath could be just a really solid option. He's got a 60 break even, so you could just wait with Brooks, give him this one Dolphins matchup and hope for some points. And then next week when he's got a tougher run coming up, maybe then you downgrade to KO weeks. I think that probably is maybe your best option. If you're dead set on selling him this week, then I think I'd probably go Max Plath. If you wanted to go really point of difference, you could go Cody Walker. Can't believe I'm recommending it, but look, he's got a 3-round average of 52. Latrell's back, although Kmar is out. So, the Rabbitohs might not be that much better, but they do have Dragons this week. So, yeah, Cody Walker could be just a flyaway pod. Otherwise, Max Plath, I think for the exact same price, really solid. Someone's asking about Isaiah Katoa. Katoa, look, he's been good. I think I'd actually prefer Nikorima. Nikorima, I think, seems to be, at least last week, he was definitely more dominant, I think, as a playmaker. I think he had 3 try assists. Isaiah Katoa he only scored 26 last week. Isaiah Katoa does have a low base. I think Nikorima's probably who I'd prefer, but he's 617k. For Isaiah Katoa at 467k, it doesn't offer value to me. I think if you're someone like holding Tamara Martin, honestly, I'd probably just hold a week and then just sell him down to KO weeks next week. Swagman is asking what to do with Dylan Lucas. So we didn't mention Dylan Lucas, but yeah, he's back on the bench this week. I don't know what his break-even is. Let me just have a quick look for you. Let's have a look. Dylan Lucas, 635k with a 63 break-even. Not a must-sell this week. Even coming off the bench, he still could be decent. But like, if you've got 200k, I'd honestly be tempted just to go to Fafita. Or if you want, you could also just go to maybe Eli Katoa for not that much extra in price. Eli Katoa is probably my number 2 target behind Fafita in second row forward. Number 3 would be Nikora. I'm not putting Angus Crichton in this just because I'm going to assume most people already have Angus. If you don't have Angus though, I would go Dylan Lucas to Angus Crichton. Just take that negative break even. But I mean, the way that Crichton is going, there was a good stat on Angus Crichton that I read earlier today actually. Angus Crichton is the only forward, this is straight from the SuperCoach app. Angus Crichton is the only forward in SuperCoach history to have 3 scores over 150. Quite surprising when you consider that Fafita hasn't got that yet, but that's the quality of Angus. All right, so I think I did have a section on dummy halves and hookers, but I'm not seeing a lot of questions about that, to be honest. So I guess the only thing is people who are looking at maybe Api Coruscant, who's been named this week. So I know some people on social media are asking, do you maybe look to sell Api? And if you did, would you go to like a Robson, Jeremy Marshall-King? I wouldn't go Robson. I think even despite the next 3 weeks being good, I do think Robson is a good candidate for Origin. I think I would now just go Jeremy Marshall-King, and you get the you get the buy coverage for round 13, 16, and 19. I do think with Coruscant though, it is a decent run coming up over the next few weeks. Hooker's not really a high upside position. I'd be tempted to hold Appy because he is still at least goal kicking, and that would definitely be the case without Aiden Caesar in the team. Just Hooker doesn't feel like a position that I think I'd be wanting to burn too many trades on. At the moment, if you've already got Appy personally, I would just maybe look to keep holding him. One player I also wanted to quickly mention was Connor Watson. He has a really big negative 49 break even, but The minutes in the role I don't think is going to continue as it has been the last few weeks. I'm going to quickly double check the team lists. See, Victor Radley is back, so Connor Watson's back on the bench. The only benefit I see with Connor Watson is you bring him in short-term cash grab and then you cash him in for another player. But I think Hooker is not really a position I look to spend too many trades at the moment. Dan is asking Brooks to Dearden. Yeah, I like Dearden. I mean, Dearden will play Origin. That's my guess. But like he's 606k. He's actually been one of the better 5/8s this season, and the next 3 weeks are really good. We've seen last season he can go really big at times. So I think it'd be wrong for me to say he doesn't have a ceiling. And with 5/8 being the position that it is so far this year, you can't really go too wrong, I think, with him. But yeah, last season he scored 179 versus the Tigers. So he's got a ceiling. And I think to me that is an upgrade. All right, so I think we'll talk about captaincy now, and then I'll quickly touch on my team and go through some questions. Just appreciate it's already been an hour. Super chat from Ben. Thank you very much. $5. I'm going to work tomorrow, so that will be my coffee. Thank you very much, Ben. Second row forward is Crichton, Kipes, Paul, Plath, and Smithies, and you've got 254k in the bank. Do I trade Smithies to one of Nikora, Katoa, Hopgood, or Zayo? Or would you do RTS to Brimson to have a pod in your head-to-head? So, I do personally think... So you really what I'm getting here is, Ben, you're looking to either do Smithies out for a gun second row forward or RTS to a gun centre wing in Brimson. I do think the centres is where I would rather make that trade. Smithies has been a little bit down the last few weeks. I think he's got a 3-round average of about 46. But like you're getting copper 46 and your 3 other second row forwards are pretty solid. Like I know some people earlier were asking about Kipes Paul out. Kipes Paul has been pretty solid. Like he's going to get you about the worst 50, 55, which is fine at the moment until such time we can upgrade him to a really big second forward gun. So I think you're starting 3 second forwards are microwave. No. Okay. Hey guys, are we back? We're back. Oh no, I've been hit by the microwave. Unbelievable. Yeah, I actually saw on my OBS it went to no data for a few seconds and I thought, let's just keep plugging along. No, we're back. Okay. So Ben, okay, so you said that just as I was answering your question. Basically what I said was I'd go the Brimson route because I think your 3 second row forwards are pretty decent. Smithies has been fine. He's got a 3-round average of 45, which is not too bad. And I think Nikora and Katoa are the 2 I'd prefer because Hopgood and Azayo I think are origin risks. But I think you're more likely to benefit, in my opinion, from that centre wing upgrade, just the way that centre wings are going at the moment. And I think Brimson's probably the way that he's been going recently, more likely, I think, to get those bigger scores in your head-to-head, and is a bit more of a pod, you said, compared to like a Nikora and a Katoa. So I basically said go to the RTS to Brimson, but I did say also thank you for the donation. Very appreciated. Aman, episode 3, Revenge of the Microwave. Okay, let me see, please. I'm going to text, please don't use microwave. Just the internet dropped. Anyway, all good. So, captaincy. Let's talk about captaincy. So, I think for captaincy this week, for me, it feels like one of the Cowboys players against the Titans. I know I'm not really looking at Nico Hines this week just because it is... it was Melbourne. So I'm just thinking that's just a matchup I just don't really want to be looking to have a captain against, despite how good Nico Hines has been going. So I'm not really including him in the discussion this week. VC-wise, I'm looking at either the Manly Dolphins game or the Penrith game. So you could go VC Cleary this week if you're not looking to put it on Nico Hines. But Bulldogs have actually conceded the least amount of points to opposition halfbacks. And I just feel like Cleary coming back off another week, maybe there's a potential he doesn't go huge. So I'm personally thinking the Dolphins matchup is the one that I'd be looking at. And I think I'd be putting it on one of Turbo or Garrick. I don't own Turbo anymore, so I'm probably going to be putting it on one of Garrick or Cleary. At the moment, I've got it on Garrick just because I think it's likely going to be a dry game in Queensland. And I think he's got the potential to easily go like 120 potentially. If you own Turbo, though, I think I'd prefer putting it on Turbo just because Turbo is Turbo. If you want to go a little bit different, you could actually also even put it on Asako because Manly have conceded points. But I think I'm going to back Manly, I think, in this one. Reece Walsh is also an option at fullback as a VC, maybe even a captaincy pod shout, just because Parramatta have conceded a lot of points recently. Lomax is a really good shout. If anyone does own Lomax, he's got Rabbitohs at home, and they've conceded the most points to opposition centre wing. He's back on the wing this week, and he's goal kicking. So I think he could be a really good shout for a captaincy. Maybe VC if you can make it work. But yeah, I think he could be a really great shout as well for your captaincy. But yeah, I'm personally looking at putting one of the Cowboys players, Holmes or Drinkwater. So Titans have conceded the third most amount of points to opposition centre wing, 9th to fullbacks, which is a bit of a strange stat because they've actually, from memory, conceded one of the most amount of tries to opposition fullbacks. I just feel like with Drinkwater, the way that he's playing at the moment, Holmes, I think, Supercoach-wise has been okay. Real life, I don't think he's been in the best form at the moment. So I think Drinkwater is more likely, in my opinion, to get a bigger score this week. So he's the one who I'm probably looking to captain. If you own Fafita, though, I said it earlier, I think he's very good shout at getting 120 this week. So you could even consider Fafita. He's a very solid option as well. Like his base power average is, I'm going to guess, 65 plus. So even if he gets you nothing, no attack stats wise, you can probably bank on him playing and getting 75 points for you. But Cowboys are pretty weak. Through the middle, I can see Fafita maybe getting one try in this one. So yeah, I think that's probably where I'd land with captaincy at the moment. Someone saying, would I prefer Drinky or Holmes? For captaincy, Drinkwater, and as a trade in this week, also Drinkwater. But I did spend a lot of time talking about fullbacks and gun center wings early in the stream. So do check that out if you're able to scroll back to there. I guess one point on Hines that Josh is mentioning here. Hines is playing Melbourne against old team. No Pappenhausen and no Jerome Hughes, but I'm pretty sure they're playing away from home. They're playing in Melbourne. That's just kind of a game where I think I'd want to only have. I don't think I'd be wanting to put any armband on Nico Hines. He could prove me wrong and he could come out and get an 80. But again, I'm thinking of who are the guys this week who I think can go 130 plus, and I feel like that's going to be the Cowboys options. So James is saying, I think Gold Coast is a risk. They are playing much better. They are. But then I'm thinking about last week. Pappenhausen was on 73 points at halftime. And so, like, again, I'm looking at it as, yes, Titans have been playing better, but they are still leaking points. And Cowboys are a team who like scoring points. They just can't defend. So I still think the Titans we can still look at as a matchup to target because they still do concede points. So that's my only view, I guess, on the Titans. Is Lomax still a good buy? Look, for this week, I think Lomax is a great option. The problem is that he does have a buy in round 11. He's got a high break even as well, 118. So I'm kind of looking at him as probably going to pass over him until at least maybe round 12, round 13, and maybe just wait and see if he does play State of Origin. Alrighty, I think what we'll do is we'll quickly get onto my team and what I'm thinking of doing this week. In the meantime, though, do give the stream a like if you have enjoyed it. Very much helps me out. Okay, so let's see if you guys can see that. And I'll talk maybe through some of my sit starts as well. So I've made one trade already this week. That's Pappy to Drinkwater. I think I'm going to be pretty locked into that move. I don't think I'll be looking to change that at all. VC could be changed between Garrick and Cleary. At the moment, I've got it on Garrick just because I think it's a good matchup at Suncorp. Typically a dry track. Might need to do a weather check. Let's have a quick look. Brisbane weather. Thursday. Thursday scattered showers. It's saying. Well, it's saying 7 p.m. cloudy. So I'm gonna guess it's not raining on Thursday. Sydney is still kind of grim in the next week. Like it's still pretty much raining. So, Friday does look like rain. Yeah, it's saying Friday 6 o'clock is rain. So again, apart from Nico Hines, it seems rain does affect most players. So I'm thinking that could be maybe one of the fewer dry games, that Dolphins Manly one. So if you want to have that into your thinking as well, you could do that as a 50-50 deal breaker. So I think Oh yeah, quickly on Karaz. Yeah, so I did get Karaz. So Gus Gould did say he had like some knee medial sprain. I spoke with physio, and physio is pretty much like, this is just one of those injuries that like is a small little niggle, but it's nothing serious at all. Like, he'll be fine. He pretty much said he'll be fine. So obviously this week against Penrith isn't great. So I could even consider actually benching Karaz, because I do have some other good options I could play. But at the moment, I've just got him in my team playing. Is Turbo to Drinky a stupid play? I don't think it's stupid, because Drinkwater, I think I'd definitely prefer him over the next three. But I think Turbo can score very well still this week. So I think I would probably not do that move. But next week when Turbo's got the Broncos, I could maybe see a lot of people doing that move. So I don't think it's stupid. I think Drinkwater is more likely to outscore him over the next 3 weeks, but Turbo's still a good shout of getting a really good score this week as well. So yeah, on my team, Pappy to Drinkwater is locked in. I could go someone like RTS or TaylorMade down to Armstrong, but as I mentioned, I think I'm going to wait a week and maybe get Farlongo in next week. So I think what I'm probably likely to do is probably do RTS. I mean, I could also just save the trade. Or what I'm going to do is probably RTS to Dom Young, is what I was thinking. So let me just quickly find Dom Young here. Where is he? There he is. Round 2 for Dom Young, back in the team, but it leaves us the 290k in the bank. I was actually thinking about this. I could actually boost and go TaylorMade to... I think I can go get like... Okay, no, I can't get Asako. I can go RTS to Asako. So that is something I've thought about. But I'm thinking I've kind of made my bed going Karaz, and I think Asako now for me is maybe a little bit too expensive. But watch him go keep killing it. Yeah, 710k. Like, I could go one of those other cheaper center wings, like maybe a Marzu, but don't think I'll do that. I think I'll probably just hold on to TaylorMade, at least for the time being. But I'll get in Dom Young, because I like the... I think the matchup is fine, and I do think that the next few weeks I will want him for round 13. What was that? What was that sound? Maybe it was my foot on the ground. Aman fart. No, I definitely did. Aman with the soundboard. Did I make a weird sound? Okay. I'll have to hear that back on the replay. I don't know what sound I would have made, but maybe it was my knee. I don't know. I'm standing right now, but anyway. I don't know what sound you guys are hearing, but anyway, I'm thinking of doing RTS to Dom Young as my second trade. I only have 25 trades left, so I definitely need to save some trades soon, but Dom Young's tempting. So I think if I do that, at the moment, I don't actually have Kale Iro playing in my team against Melbourne, but I could play him instead of, say, maybe you could play him instead of Karaz, potentially. And so if I did that, I mean, that might sound silly, but Iro's got a pretty solid base as well. It could be the same as Karaz. So my reserves would be Fuller, Dom Young, Nico Hines, and then Angus Crichton. I'd play Samuel Lafinu because I think he's got... to be honest, actually, I might not even play Samuel Lafinu. You know what? Actually, what I would probably do, I'd probably not play Samuel Lafinu. I'd probably just play Karaz instead. Karaz is solid. If you can jag a try, then I'm happy. But yeah, so my 4 reserves would be Nico Hines, Trey Fuller, Dom Young, and Kale Iro. And I'm not even playing Sean Lane, not even playing Samuel Lafinu. And yeah, just kind of leaving it at that. So that would be my team. I'd still have 1 boost left, plenty of money in the bank. I'm just conscious about not blowing all of that money straight away, because I do want to make sure that I can upgrade Trey Fuller at some point, because I will definitely want to do that by round 12. So that could be my 2 moves this week. Pappy to Drinkwater, and then RTS to Dom Young. So I think that's what I'm thinking at the moment. Best trading option for Jerome Hughes from Emma. I think, look, with Cleary, I still think is worth getting, because he one thing. Actually, I'll quickly flick over to this. We didn't really mention this, but now that you've asked me the question, maybe it's worth showing. So with Cleary, so he misses round 13, 16, and 19 due to Origin, but he's actually got the best turnaround possible from those Origin games. So round 14, I think he plays on Sunday for all 3 of those rounds post each Origin game. So he's got a 4-day turnaround for each of them. So I know we're close to Origin, but look, he's got Manly round 14 is fine, Cowboys round 17, and then Dolphins round 20. So like all of those games that he could back up for could still be good for point scoring. I think the way that the Warriors are going with, not going fantastic, so the SJ is probably not maybe the perfect option. It's probably, to me, I'm going to assume you've already got Nico Hines. I'm going to assume either Cleary or you could go Sam Walker. So Sam Walker did have a quieter game last week, but look, Roosters still do have a good run, and Sam Walker does play round 13. He's probably the only other option I would maybe consider. He still does have a negative 36 break even. He's 575k, so look, he's a good price too. So Sam Walker's probably the cheaper option. Otherwise, I think I'd just be going Cleary. What downgrade would I do to get Fuller up to a gun? Good question. I think to get Trey Fuller to a gun, I would probably maybe I downgrade Lockie Galvin to KO Weeks. I could maybe selling Kale Iro sounds not that fun, but I could go TaylorMade down to another cheapie. They tend to keep cropping up in the center wing at the moment. Or I'd probably do something in second row forward. Maybe I'd go Sean Lane down. I think I've got a few like middies in my team. I probably do need one or two downgrades to emerge, which is maybe another reason why I could go Armstrong this week. So at the moment, I'm not actually looking to bring in Armstrong, but because I'm kind of thinking I do want to maybe try get points. And actually, what I might do as a downgrade next week is I could go. It sounds bad to do it, but maybe someone down to Farlongo. I could actually, you know what? This is the thing. My second trade I still am up in the air about. It could be RTS to Dom Young. It could also be RTS down to Sua Farlongo. Free up like 200k. That gives me like almost 500k in the bank, and then getting a gun in my second fullback spot is not an issue at that point. So that's probably the only thing I just need to maybe have a think about is what to do with that second trade. But that's probably how I'd maybe try to do that initial, try to create some extra cash. Drinky or Cleary can only afford one of them this week. I think if you can only afford one of them, I'd be getting Drinkwater. Better run over the next 3. More likely to play around 13. I mean, Cleary's going to play Origin, so. All right, I'm going to take 2 more questions and then I'll probably wrap up there. I'm starving now, and we've almost gone for an hour 20 minutes. John T says, I'm selling Pappy this week and Fuller next week. Bringing in Asako over Drinky this week. Would bring in Drinky the week after. I think if you're going to look to do that staggering, then I get the play because Asako's got the negative break even this week. Fair enough. I was early in the stream pretty confident going Drinky first, but I get the reasoning. If you're going to get both of them and you want to stagger it, pick up the guy with the negative break even this week. What's Armstrong's projected price rise? So I can pull that up for you as well. Thank you to SuperCoach Gold. So if he scores 34 points, he'll make 67k. I've kind of put him down more for a 45 average just because his draw is pretty decent. Lucas to Fafita or Pappy to Drinkwater. I think you've got to sell Pappy first. He's the bigger issue in your team. He's out injured. Is Bostock and Fermor to Fafita and Dom Young good trades? Bostock to Dom Young I like. Even both Fermor to Fafita. I know they're in the same team, but like it's an upgrade. Yeah, I'd actually be pretty comfortable doing that particular move. How much is Bo Fermor? That's the question. 536k. Okay. Yeah, I'd probably be happy doing those particular moves. Aman, can you please tell me Drinky's break even this week? It's 93. All right, guys. I think I'm going to have to wrap up there. Going on for a while. Please do give the stream a like if you have enjoyed it. I won't be able to do a Thursday countdown stream this week, unfortunately, so I'll try to do some kind of Q&A or I'll try to do another preview video with Nicole from Wiki later in the week. Otherwise, hit me up on socials and I'll do my best to try to get back to the questions. But thanks everyone for tuning in. Hopefully you got a lot of value out of this one. Do please give it a like if you enjoyed it. And tune into all the other great content that will come out from other podcasts, other podcasters tonight. So I'm not the only SuperCoach. Well, I'm not the last SuperCoach you'll be hearing tonight. So get all your opinions. But yeah, hopefully you have a good night. And we'll catch you all in the next stream. Thanks and have a good one.